God, after this day? Yes.
I'm in need of a cold ale myself. If you're interrupting my petition reading time, I hope you're bringing me some good news.
Nothing but. The way's clear for the scouts to start retrieving those supplies.
Anything to add, Arakim?
I'm shaken to my core by the revelation that one can achieve things without forms signed in triplicate.
Interesting. I won't argue with success, especially when it keeps our people going. Bryn, since you've proven yourself useful, I've considered the ways in which you can assist us further. We'll need Isla's help for this next step, though.
Oh, we're all on a first-name basis with her, are we?
I should hope so, yes.
I actually just finished helping her with something. Shall we go fetch her?
Oh, yes, let's do that.
I need to go make a report to my scouts, but I owe you a drink for sure.
I'll hold you to that.
Please tell me you've got a distraction for me.
Are you all right, Isla?
I'm just, a little tired, is all. Between powering an arc by myself and confronting my father on the same day. Even as a previous High Enchantress, it took a lot out of me. I'm still working my way through it. And I need to figure out an independent power source for the arc. It's too much to think about.
I'm sorry. Should we do this another time?
No. Please. I need distractions. Or I might be tempted to set the hold ablaze.
Fair enough. What have you got for us, Karnatame?
An issue we faced in the early days of their appearance and are now facing once again is the ability of the Surgeborn to navigate the Enclave. Put simply, they are using our Loomgate network to traverse great distances in an instant. We can't let that stand. I'm only familiar with the Loomgate's design through my parents' work on them. But Bryn recently helped us access a supply cache in the Institute, and we found something that could help. A set of schematics for a device to block the Surgeborn from using the Loomgates while keeping them accessible to us.
A way to filter out the Surgeborn without endangering Weavers. It could significantly impact their ability to fight us. How can I help?
Well, they're incomplete, and I was hoping you could tell us what's missing. Here, take a look.
Let's see... A resonance modulator.
Bryn, while she looks over the schematics, do you have any questions?
Why didn't they finish the schematic?
My understanding is that at that time, our bureaucracy was growing to the point of being rather unwieldy. I still grapple with the remnants of that bureaucracy every day, so I can imagine that whoever was working on these schematics... Let's just say that they were probably told to submit it to a committee before proceeding with the design.
Even though it was urgent and would have saved hundreds of lives?
For some people, propriety dictates priority. That's my guess, anyway. And, for the record, much of my life's work has been in service of streamlining that kind of bureaucracy. We cannot risk following the same path that led us to ruin.
How do we know that this modulator will work?
Whoever designed this clearly knew what they were doing. It's beautiful, elegant work.
I'll say. It feels... familiar, almost. I can't quite put my finger on it.
We could check through the rest of the paperwork, see if we can find out who the author is, if you'd like.
Yes. I'd love to.
Where's this device going once we finish building it?
The resonance modulator should connect directly to the harness. You've already been there.
Returning to the scene of the crime. Why there?
the harness acts as a central nexus that controls not just Asylum, but our loom gates and all of the Enclave's transit points. Hence, why you were able to use it to open up the underworks in the first place.
At least I can't unleash the Surgeborn a second time.
Small mercies.
I've had enough. The sooner we get this modulator built, the sooner we can secure the loom gates. I'm assuming you'll be the one to build this. What do I need to bring you?
To be frank, considering all your Weaver Band's achieved since you arrived, it's clear to me that you brought with you an expertise that we did not retain through the dark days of the Surge. With that in mind, I would love to leave this in your Smith's capable hands. She must have had a world-class mentor.
She's primarily self-taught, actually. But I'll pass on the compliment. She'll be thrilled to hear it.
That's astonishing. Let's go through what's needed then. For the body of the device, you'll just need some calm steel. But the rest... Do you have any preliminary thoughts, Isla?
Yes. Like you said, it's amazingly simple. What's missing from the schematics is the part that allows us to calibrate it. But it's clear in my mind what the finished design should look like. Give me a moment. There. It's like the design itself wanted me or someone to finish it. To calibrate it, we'll need some representative samples of Surgeborn. Let's say husk and huskhound fur. Get plenty of both.
And then I take the finished resonance modulator to the harness.
Exactly.
It should be pretty obvious where to place it, too. You'll know, if you do it right.
Gotcha. Time to hunt a few Surgeborn.
Before what happened at the Grand Gate, you said you needed some help. What was it again?
I was hoping you could help me with an investigation. I'm looking for some missing scries.
Have you lost yours somehow?
No, but I have a lead on a shipment that went missing right around the Surge. I was hoping you could ask around the Hearthsider homesteads to see if anyone was working the caravans when the veil went up.
Ah, and this is related to Arakim making a mess of our records, I assume.
Yes?
Very well. I will ask around as a favor to you, Bryn.
Something's been bothering me about the loom gates.
You're going to ask how I got to your camp without connecting you to Cassidon's.
Yes. I've been reconnecting all the gates as I discover them.
We developed a way to move through the gates without a permanent connection. When Asylum activated, it severed every loom gate, cut off the Surgeborn, which gave us a huge edge. But the scouts needed to move around without opening paths for them. So, the High Enchanter did their thing.
Is that why the hold's still cut off from the other gates?
It took a lot to convince the Council to even allow a connection here.
Ever since we learned of the verdant mines, I haven't been able to stop thinking about them. They were clearly well-resourced in regards to both labor power and knowledge. And they had an extremely intimate knowledge of the Enclave's technology. But do you know who was around to see their rise and fall, but hasn't spoken a word about it?
Cassidon's Hold's biggest ass?
The very same. I just think it's interesting how he's kept quiet about it. Don't you?
I don't expect much from him.
I don't know if he was involved with the events surrounding the Verdant Mind's attempt to take down the Veil, but he certainly bore witness.
So what are you thinking?
I'd like to send you out on a fact-finding mission for now. Meanwhile, I'll pore over my existing research for clues.
Gotcha. I'll be back when I found everything you're after.
Thanks, Bryn. I'll get to work here, too.
grand for your mantle.
See what we've got here. These all seem to be speeches that the eye delivered. These are dated 40 years ago, but I could still imagine him saying all of these things together. I'll need to get these back to Layla.
I'm proud of this one.
A delicate tool for precision work. Wield it well.
Well, that did something. I should go check with the Axel that it worked. I hope I'm not interrupting anything with her and the spindle.
So the curves of the metal suggest...
I definitely think an enchanter had a hand in this, as well as someone with intimate knowledge of the loom gates.
Those two people could possibly be one person even. Though I can't fathom who it would be.
Keeping yourselves busy, I see?
It's a conundrum for the ages, that's for sure.
Ah, Bryn. You're back.
You've done amazing work with the resonance modulator. I'm certain this will be a turning point for us.
Thanks. But how do you know it worked?
The loom gate started glowing a strange color before you arrived. I took it as a hint that you'd succeeded.
Spoiled the surprise.
I'm sure the Surgeborn will be plenty surprised when they next try to use the loom gates.
Suffice to say, we're thrilled, Bryn. In a short time, you've done a lot to help us. We were, obviously, a little hesitant to trust newcomers.
Our first impression wasn't the best.
But now, we're in a much better situation when it comes to survival.
Thank goodness you had a dashing and deadly dame to do all your dangerous deeds. That's me. I'm the dame.
We don't do titles here, so don't get any big ideas.
Sure thing. Axel. Or is Khan Arteme better?
I was elected. That's completely different.
Isla's got the right idea. But just saying. Nobody's bowing to the almighty spindle.
I wouldn't complain if they did.
So, let's recap for a moment. 1. We've stopped Surgeborn from navigating the Loomgate network by using the resonance modulator. 2. We've made huge leaps forward in regaining control over the Arcs. 3. We've armed and supplied the scouts.
It certainly doesn't cast our last decade of work in a forgiving light, does it?
Listen, you've been surviving this crisis for a long time the only way you knew how. But now you have a path to move forward. Your people can choose to follow it, or dwell on past mistakes. Are we ready to face this threat head-on together?
Yes. You're right. Of course you are. We're at the point, resource-wise, where we can start making moves.
I don't really want to speak to my father right now. But I agree that it's time we put pressure on him to do something. Anything. Regardless of what he does. You've earned our support, Bryn. But first, I'd actually like to steal this elected official away for a while. If you don't mind. I have some notes to go over with her.
By all means. Have fun.
I suppose I'll just get right to it. Why do you treat me differently?
What do you mean?
Everyone else gets the stern you, the you who's in charge, the Axel. But I get the friendly face, the compliance, this you who I don't understand. Is it because of my dad? Because everyone answers to him? Are you trying to get close to him through me? I can't handle it, Hirun. I need to know that I'm not just being manipulated by everyone around me.
It's not because of that.
Then... what is it?
I spend time around you because I want to. To see you, to speak with you, to work alongside you. To see the look in your eyes when you solve a problem. Skies, I shouldn't... None of this is... If we could find somewhere else, beyond the gaze of the hold...
Hirun. Stop. Take my hand. And we'll go. I have a place in mind. I didn't see it before, but... I think... I would like to tell you of the ways in which you are important to me, too.
Two crates of mantle supplies, 4 sets of Calm steel bearings, 3 sealed vats of data grease.
Sounds like a wild party you're preparing for.
Not really my scene, Bryn. Do you need something?
I wanted to pick your brains some more, if you've got time.
If I stare at this inventory list for a second longer, I may succumb to madness. Ask away.
Have you thought about what you might do once the Surgeborn are under control?
That's a big assumption. I don't know how things are outside of the Enclave, but in here, we live every day knowing we may not see the next. Doubly so now. Hope for the future is a luxury. We are thin on luxuries here.
Sure. But you have to start planning for the future someday. Would you ever consider running for the Eye's seat?
I would not presume to challenge him for it, even if an election presented the opportunity. If he tripped over his own feet and fell into the ocean, thereby vacating the position, that would be another matter entirely.
How's your relationship with the Spindle?
Isla, it's fine. We have a good relationship, I think.
Do you enjoy working with her?
That is irrelevant to the demands of my work, but... yes. She is kind and thoughtful and willing to compromise, despite everything.
Everything?
Well, you've met her father. Now imagine if he was your direct superior.
Say no more. So I take it that you're not happy with how the Eye is running things?
It is not my place to question his decisions. He sealed the Surgeborn away, saving us from annihilation.
But he doesn't seem to be happy with you. And you clearly disagree with him on some things. Wouldn't you be a better leader than him?
We have different opinions, but that doesn't mean I aspire to hold his seat. I'm focused on serving the people I represent. That's all.
Well, thanks. Hope I didn't take up too much of your time. There's just so much to learn here.
It's fine. You're refreshingly nosy. Look at me, sounding like Arakim. Perhaps we did need a breath of fresh air in here.
What's going on?
Arik, why don't you fill her in?
Our plan worked. The Eye is mobilizing the scouts for a large-scale attack on the Surgeborn.
I take it the Axle and the Spindle put him up to this?
Yes. Not that Khan Stanild is admitting that. He claims that with the supply shortage taken care of and the Ark restoration underway, now is the time to strike.
And Bryn is receiving due credit for all her work, I'm sure.
No.
So what's his plan?
The scouts will stage a distraction in the underworks, while the Eye and the Spindle do something to the Grand Gate. That's all I know. The Eye wants everyone to convene at Cassidon's Hold for a speech to learn more.
He wants us there.
Khan Stanild loves an audience. Doesn't matter who's in it.
I thought you'd be happier about all this.
I have reservations about the Eye launching a plan using my scouts without consulting me.
The reality is, the leader of the Enclave has the power and influence we need to take a stand against the Surgeborn, regardless of how likable the man holding the title may be.
Power and influence, sure, but not the expertise.
Ori is right. Whatever flaws the Eye has, he is ultimately doing what we've wanted him to do. If he wants to atone, we should give him that opportunity, even when it pains us.
It can't hurt to hear his big speech before jumping to conclusions.
I'm here to escort you. Talk to me when you're ready.
Did you learn anything?
When I asked Sev about the wheel symbol? No. He was pretty evasive.
Being evasive is, in and of itself, rather telling. Means we're onto something of note.
How did you know I asked, anyway?
I watch people closely. A habit so deeply ingrained you could call it a groove at this point. It sounds like your experiment with the loom gates went well.
With the axle and the spindle? Yeah. It turned out better than we could have hoped.
That's good news.
Are you worried about something?
Worried? No. Holding the infinite weave of possibilities in my mind. Yes. Do you think the resonance modulator could be used to keep certain kinds of people out of the Loomgate network too?
I'm really not sure. What makes you think about that?
I believe that the Eye would lock us out if he could. He has a great tactical mind, after all, even if we haven't exactly seen it in action yet. And he's made it clear that we're not exactly welcome guests, so it's not a huge leap, is it? Plus, we've handed these designs over to his daughter, of all people.
Well, you haven't had a chance to talk to Isla yet. She definitely wouldn't let that happen. At the very least, she'd give us a heads up. Why don't you talk to her sometime? I think you'd get along.
I suppose I should, yes. After my next round of experiments, perhaps. Speaking of, I should really get back to it. I'm glad to hear that all is not doomed, too. Thanks.
Not a problem.
So, we've spoken about stories. The kinds that are lost to time or war. But what about those stories that are yet to be written? What is the story of Bryn, the slayer of Surgeborn, point of Aurea Silverbeak's legendary weaver band?
I suppose that's me in a nutshell, isn't it?
Yes, but what else? I can't help but wonder whether there will be anyone else who's indelibly part of your story.
I'd need to have someone around to champion my exploits. Can't just hand out copies of my journal, can I?
Goodness! If only there was someone around who could shout your praises from the rooftops.
You never know. They could be right around the corner.
We shall have to keep an eye out.
Sev mentioned something about Udea using Aeroliths, like Taza.
That's true, yes. It was well before my time, but they are not well regarded in our history.
What happened to them?
You're aware Udea had legendary trade fleets that made it the richest federation in the Maida?
Yes, but not since the... Oh.
It turns out when you rely on magic to keep your harbors safe, and magic itself breaks in something like the Surge, there's a price to be paid.
How are you feeling about our talk with Sev?
Surprisingly good. If there's one thing I know, it's when people are really listening. And that young man knows how to listen. He'll do what's right. Ugh. This treatise on Tarzan governance. Take them out from a distance, and they'll never know you were there.